welcome today to another episode of Kansas City Community Activists. This is Amen Communications Network, and we have live and direct a couple of our brothers who have been mainstays in community activism, Brother Donald Ousley and Ron McMillan, as I said, staples in our community activist page on Facebook, as well as the activities that they have contributed in Kansas City as far as helping galvanize community, helping to organize and support our less fortunate ambassadors of our Kansas City area. I'm going to open up the forum to introduce our host for this show, and I'm encouraging anyone who hears us online, just give us a shout out as far as if you would like to share any information about yourself, some of the comments and questions that you may have to ask our community activists for today, and tell a friend, tell your neighbors, tell your family, let them know. Send out a text message and submit a text blast to call in to our show today. Our information line for our guest call-in is area code 347-989-8509. Again, we are wanting to welcome our community activists to listen in and contribute and tell us a little bit about some of the highlights of things that are going on here in Kansas City. This is our Memorial Weekend celebration, and so we are posting up every day. There is an exciting thing that we are looking forward to is actually launching an on-site live broadcast at the scene for the Malcolm X celebration of his life at the NBUF office tomorrow at this same time. So I want to welcome our listeners and our host today. Let me give my shout-out and allow my hosts to introduce themselves to the community. Welcome, welcome. How are you all today?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
We're doing good. We're doing good today.
Great, great. I just wanted to, again, I'm really share that I'm really excited about what we are about to launch as far as actual engagement of our community, where we can just go on the scene, we can roll up anywhere, we can call in people who are on the scene. I believe Brother Maurice Copeland is out in the battlefield for the nuclear weapons plant today, and Sister Maria Whitaker, for instance, is out at the plaza engaging the community with an anti-Monsanto march. These are very significant and important endeavors and initiatives. And so just the idea of being able to have an opportunity where we can be a live calendar, we can actually post and be on the scene and have a live show at different site locations, and that's what we are celebrating along with our Memorial Weekend.
Well, what we have, too, is an opportunity because of our community activist page to also read off the up-and-coming events that are being posted on the community active page. Ron says all the time that we need to use this new technology and these devices that we have in order to communicate with one another. Now that we have this broadcast, and we have the Facebook, and we have these pages, then it should give us an opportunity to really be on the same page. And as you just shared with us, we are working on creating a community calendar so that everyone can be informed and present for these important events. And so we're going to really work to make our community be as one on the same page so that we can move forward and address the issues that are important to our community.
Great. Today we decided to have as a topic, just as our opening, the initiative of safety, looking out for our young people, looking out for some of the, as we go out into the community and participate in community events, and the school is getting ready to get out. There's a lot of activities that we have for family and gatherings and community support. Just some of the tips and things that we need to be looking out for while we have our guests logging in. I'll just give a few minutes to have you all discuss and introduce that, and then we'll look forward to having some of our guests who, if you are a community activist that would like to speak, please press 1 on your phone now. It will give me a virtual hand up. Let me know that you are here and want to post in, because I don't have, they don't give me a caller ID set up. They just give me the phone number, so I can identify you and post you in. And then you can introduce us, give us your name, and give us what your interest is for our radio show for today. But I want to thank everyone who is listening in. We have our chat line up. If you want to text in information, if you want to post up links and other references, if you want to make comments, can all share that information and contact. And it's live. It's a live show. There are different venues that you can share. So let's go back and talk about some of the safety issues. Brother McMillan?
Well, since you're not in, safety issues is, our children are graduating. We're so proud of our children who are graduating, and what that means is the end of the school year. We're always concerned about our children, and we know through past years, the trends that happen, we know that, kids have a tendency to find guns and either shoot themselves or shoot someone. And so we know that with summer, those are concerns that we have to deal with. So we always are interested in gun safety. Now, we're not against people having guns. We just want to prevent, preventable situations like kids shooting themselves or shooting someone else, because it happens every year. Some kid finds a gun and they're playing with their friend as a sibling, and then somebody gets shot and unfortunately killed. And so we want to be mindful in our community, to be concerned about those safety issues and prevent that from happening. And we know now, as we were talking about on last night's show, that Kansas City has enacted a law that states that children that are in the plaza area, that parents could be ticketed. And we all have different feelings about that, but that's something that we as a community needs to address in regards to activities our children can be involved in. I'm going to take the moment to share, Ms. E shared on the community activist page about that My Brother's Keeper outreach and mentoring, which tells me that they have a desire to address the issue of our youth. Next Saturday, May 31st at 11 a.m., Blue Library, they're going to have a get-together where it's a working planning meeting to address the issue, but also make sure that outreach is made to our young people and also mentoring. And so we need to work with our youth. We need to be involved with our youth, and we need to be able to present alternatives to our youth for the summer so that they can have something to do. And so that was presented to me when I was growing up in L.A., and a lot of us had those things here in Kansas City. I'm very familiar with Bernard Powell and the impact that he had on a lot of youth because he provided jobs for youth. And so we don't have to reinvent the wheel. All we need to do is do what's been done, and so we need to get together to do that.
Yes, that's excellent. The idea of the plaza, for instance, last year, as I recall, that was a situation. And there were just different people, but for the most part, I didn't get a lot of positive response of how to deal with our youth. Me personally, I feel our children are a generation, the generation next of our 1960s civil rights movement. So these are the products of that venture for our own participation, our own piece of the pie, our own effort to integrate. I know that the plaza is like Swore Park were areas that we were not welcomed to be a part of. In many of the areas that are now currently target areas for regentrification, African American people were not even permitted after clock. So they could come in and work in these particular areas after past 27th Street, but they got to be out by sundown. They have sundown laws, and that trumps lynchings and other kinds of situations. So now, coming back to our present situation of our young people thinking, well, I have civil rights. I can go anywhere. Any public location I'm welcome to it. But the idea of training our young people to know how to conduct themselves, I was raised to believe I am an ambassador for African American people, for our family name. So when I went out in public, I had to represent my father, represent the fact that my force, represent the fact that cut up. If I act up, even as a classroom student, in most cases I was the only black child. So if I cut up, every other black child in the future would have to suffer from my conduct or misbehavior, because people will just judge that way. And so the idea of saying, well, I'm not going to dress in an inappropriate way, especially if I'm walking around alone as a teenage girl. I'm going to conduct myself and my behavior around my friends in a certain kind of way. And so the objective of saying, well, that decorum is out the window in many cases. We have so many latchkey children where they're raising themselves, and they have their own ideology, and they're watching MTV and BET, and so they have those influences more than their parents, who are out working and scuffling to provide for the family, but are not always available to model their conduct and appropriate behavior. So this is like a third or fourth generation of babies having babies, in many cases, of a child whose mother's mother was a teenage pregnancy situation. So you have this level. Also the idea of our young people going out, of course, and not being chaperoned, but going out in our community as African Americans are not self-policing. We have the Nation of Islam. We have many of our churches that are in the community, but they don't knock on doors. They don't reach to that community. And so people drive in from Olathe, they drive in from Lenexa, they drive in from South Kansas City area to the Midtown area, go to their church service because that was their tradition, and then they leave. So that network or nucleus of chaperoning our children, having an adult accompany a child when they go to the movie theater. The Plaza, the Country Club Plaza Theater is the closest bus-routed movie theater, and that is what draws our young people to that area. There's the criticism of, these kids they can't afford to go to these particular shops, just because, and the Plaza is the crown jewel of Kansas City with all of the sculptures, the water parks or fountains that are out here. That is the water fountain of the emblem of Kansas City. And the idea of wealthy people seeing African Americans walking up and down the street, let alone cutting up as young people will do, is thought of as a pariah to most people. So we have these kind of images of we don't need to go to the plaza. We don't belong in those particular areas because of our presumed financial stations and things of that nature. And so the classism and racism kind of creep in when that discussion comes out. So what I'm suggesting is that, yes, we do need to self-police. We need to have people who will give rides, people who will chaperone, people who are out, who live in our community and who are willing to monitor, 5 or 6 young people. And also the idea was discussed of at least giving the theater a age curfew, I suppose, or not a curfew, but the requirement that chaperones are in attendance when a young child under the age of 18 signs up for a movie, to get a ticket for a movie that is not within their age group or age range. But we should be able to find positive solutions that come from our community. That's grassroots structuring. And in many cases, we leave that into the hands of other people. And then, like in the zoo, the Kansas City Zoo recently, guns are drawn, people are acting crazy. And I don't know, sometimes historically, when you wanted to have a fight with the Native Americans and the Cowboys would dress up as Native Americans, and they would start a skirmish with an enemy just to get in on it, to engage the action. So just the camouflage of inciting people to act up, to discourage people from going to certain particular areas where they were actually shutting down the free zoo day just because of a few African Americans that acted up after at the end while the children were waiting around for their rides and their pickups and they're leaving to go home. But the idea that we collectively need to also organize our venues for us in a safe way, activities and cultural initiatives that we can have ourselves. We don't own the municipal auditorium or areas of that scale, but it still is a capacity where we can have skating rink in the basement of a church. We can have use some of the cultural centers and places, some of the schools have plays and other activities that are repurposing the use of those buildings for our young people that live in this particular community, and have our own way that, in an attractive way, activities that we can garner for our own children that will give them outlets where they can go outside, they can have, interest in things that they are in the capacity to be a part of. Again, we are at the Amen Communication Network, Kansas City Community Activist Radio Show. I want to welcome our guests. I still see a couple of people who I don't recognize their phone number, but if you would like to speak and not just listen, just press the number 1. I'll see a virtual hand go up where there might be a question, and I will pod you in. Okay, I see 2 people. Please state your name and introduce yourself. Greetings, and welcome. Would you like to share something? I'm
Keith
sorry?
Brown.
Oh,
Keith Brown.
Greetings. Yes, sir. Welcome to our venture here. Please state what you would like to share with us about being a community activist and wanting to engage in the community.
Now, who are you referring to right now?
I'm sorry. You said that your name is Mr. Keith Brown.
Yes. Okay. All right.
I can one of the people here in Kansas who are mainstays, people who I consider strong community activists. We were talking about safety and initiatives, and so I just wanted an opportunity to speak.
Okay. First of all, I want to thank you for having this show. I want to thank Donald Ousley, one of my brothers, for inviting me to call in. And what I have heard thus far from both of you, and especially from you, because this is my first time being a part of the show, very relevant. I think that all of your suggestions, recommendations, we need to be intentional as a community and strive to promote those ideals. But I want to share something. You know, among the most accomplished and fabled tribes in Africa, no tribe was considered to have warriors more fearsome or intelligent than the mighty Maasai. And it is perhaps surprising then to learn the traditional greeting that passed between the Maasai warriors. There's a word, it's not Kiswahili, but an African word, Kasirian and Jira. One would always say to another, it means, how are the children? And it is still the traditional greeting among the Maasai, acknowledging the high value that the Maasai always place on their children's well-being. Even warriors with no children of their own would always give the traditional answer, all the children are well. And so when you talk about, be it latchkey children that are home alone, or be it children who are orphaned, or children who don't have a father in the home, we as a community, we have to be that community. We have to be that apparatus and that village in working in concert to help our children and to be there for them. Now, all the children are well. That was the traditional answer, meaning, of course, that peace and safety prevail and that the priorities of protecting the young, the powerless, are in place. In that society, that Maasai society has not forgotten its reason for being, its proper functions and responsibility. All the children are well means the life is good. It means that the daily struggles of existence, even among a poor people, do not preclude proper caring for its young. And you know something? I wonder how it might affect our consciousness of our children's welfare if in our culture we took to greeting each other with this same daily question, and how are the children? I wonder if we heard that question and passed it along to each other, a dozen times a day, if it would begin to make a difference in the reality of our children, or in the reality of how our children are thought of and cared for, not only in this country, but in particular where we live, here in Kansas City. I wonder if we could truly say without any hesitation, the children are well. Yes, all the children are well. And so, we can have programs, and I think that we need to promote programs. We need to open up the various theaters, the schools, faith-based centers. We need to come together in a collaborative measure. We have enough buildings in the urban core that we can open up for our children, and that we can set up, you talked about plays, whatever our children engage in a wholesome way, and have positive thinking and minded adults that look like them, working with them, acknowledging them, that I think a lot of the mischief making that goes on with our children would be diminished. So I'll pause.
Wonderful. That is very profound, sir, and I thank you again for your response. I just wanted to give Brother Donald a chance to respond as well. Share with us what you think.
I agree. Oh, now I'm unmuted. Hey, Brother Keith, I'm so glad you called in, and I really digging the comments that you shared. It's true. We have to, we say the priority is the children. That's something we say. But in actuality, over the last 20 years that I've lived here in Kansas City, it seemed like every legislation and every decision has been counter that. And we see the fruits of that in our society now. Even though there are a lot of people that are out there with programs, and like the one I talked about with Miss E, next Saturday at Bluefield Library, we have to work harder as community activists to wake everybody up and get everybody on the same page. And we want to talk about this community calendar that we really want to put together so we can all be on the same page. But our real concern are the children, their welfare. How are the children doing? If we actually greeted each other like that on a day-to-day basis, then we would be thinking about the children, and then we'd be honest that the children aren't doing great. They're not doing good. And then that should put us in a position where we would move forward to do what we need to do so that we can make our reply to the greeting, our children are doing well. And we know that our children are the future, the greatest love of all. That song says, I believe the children are the future. And if we actually live that way in our community, then we would lift them up and let them lead the way. But we would also help raise them and groom them so that they could be effective leaders and make our community all that it should be as opposed to what it is. So I appreciate Brother Keith's comments. And, hey, I'm glad he's on here.
Hello. Can I interject something?
Is that Brother Ron?
Here. Yeah, I'm trying to, I was patiently listening to everybody, right? I felt like I'm being neglected here. Like I'm being shut out. Hey, nothing worse than being in a conversation and can't get in it. Listen, I want to get back to one of the points that Keith so eloquently put out there. We did go through a phase in this city where, do you remember, Is It Good for the Children?
Yes, the Partnership for Children.
Partnership with Children. I forget the little guy. I loved him. He was a great little guy that was CEO. And
right.
He made a report card. We had a report card for how children were doing in our city. And that was back during the epidemic crises of murder everywhere, all over the street. And we were able to rein in and get some folks to participate with us in that whole thing. Is it good for the child? Matter of fact, it was in the charter. We put it in the city charter. And they used it every time they thought about a piece of legislation. I think Kay Barnes might have been the mayor at that point. But, yes, that kind of focus, Keith, is very important. As the Memorial Day weekend, and I always think about Memorial Day for street soldiers. Too many of us have been killed. Americans killed at the bus stop, killed at the mall, shot while sitting on your porch, shot at a baseball game, shot at church. Too many innocent people because of all these guns in the state that is pro-gun. Missouri is a pro-gun state. So we're trapped inside a pro-gun state. And they made a trip. Mayor James and Mayor Clay from St. Louis made a trip to Jeff City and tried to appeal to the pro-gun legislature. But they went on and passed some more gun legislation. They don't care. They don't plan on helping us as we're stuck in two cities that put up the numbers that make us the murder capital of the world for black people, St. Louis and Kansas City. So we have to, within, like us, I call it the 36 square mile area where most of the homicides happen, we have to connect with each other. And that's why this blog radio getting activists to participate, us finding solutions that can tame down as summer's coming. But if we're not out there giving some leadership and making that connection and creating opportunity, we got all these parks, empty parks, beautiful parks, but the activities and the lack of leadership leave them parks empty. But we should have everything from robotics weekends to doing chess to the things that would engage young people to be culturally involved and develop their skills. So on a Memorial Day weekend, yes, I'm thinking about, I wasn't a veteran. Matter of fact, I was a draft dodger. I wasn't going to fight no war. But I've seen a war here on the streets of America that has to be recognized. And on the day when we prepare, matter of fact, you saw the news this morning as we hit this Memorial Day weekend, some guy went shooting up, killed 6 people, and then himself because he couldn't get a date. And he driving a Benz. So how crazy is it going to get? And what do we do when the bullets start flying? See, we don't even train ourselves to be aware, even though a lot of kids can listen to a gun, even little kids, and tell you what it is. Oh, that's a 45, or that was a 38, or that's a Glock. We are not preparing to protect ourselves, to know what to do when the bullets start flying, and more importantly, before they start flying. So in our households, if we can get this blog thing going, we need to have conversation about what we allow in our households, who's in control in our households. Yeah, we don't want them kids on the plaza, but it seems like we don't want them at home neither. You know what I'm saying? Let's have that conversation. You let your kid just go roaming out there with no supervision. He got a cell phone. Do you make him check in? Or can you keep up with him? Do we have all these new devices that can be incorporated into making us safer? Because we have to do it. And until we understand that ain't nobody going to come here and save us, it's going to have to be the people. And when we talk about Kansas City, we have a multiple of groups. That's why activists today, I hope they call in. And I want to hear all the ideas from the activists on how to stay alive in a murder factory.
Well, let's see if we have others on. Adenike?
Did I hear Brother Lamar Dickinson's here?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. How are you?
Yes, ma'am. And, oh, man, I am fine, and I am really, really excited about this. I say to everybody on this line that this day is a great day because we have all of those abilities that we've been speaking of, and now it's time to execute them. We talk about the situation on the plaza, even with the avenues and opportunities that the mayor has brought forth, which are great opportunities that we have to support. See, when them kids get there, when the youth get there, if we're not there to chaperone them, if we're not there to watch out for their surroundings and to police the area ourselves, then they're not safe. And with us as the activists and everybody that's on this line, I also said this today. We have the Mary Kelly Center, and I'm the outreach coordinator for that center. And I said to them today, I said, if I can mobilize the right chaperones, then we could bring them to the Mary Kelly Center. We could, on any night that is clear, they could party out in the yard out there. We could have inside the basketball. We got the computer room. And I'm saying to us that the plaza is not the place for underage kids. Number one, when the tourist is in town and they riding around looking at that it just diminishes what it stands for. Now, that's not the kids' fault. It's our fault. So now let's rectify it by giving them something that they could do. And I'm offering to y'all that if Ron has been there, and we utilize this center, and let's get together, strategize on not only this center, all the centers that the mayor has available for them to this night hoops and this other program he's got kicking off in June. We need to each look and say, okay, we'll go and we'll handle this place, and we got to start recruiting. And I'm saying again, you know, we have the Mary Kelly Center. We could meet up there. Let's pull this together, y'all. Everybody on this line right here, we have the ability to change and effect a change, and now is the time.
Lamar, let me ask you a question right here. Are you on the community activist site?
I don't even know about it. I got a Facebook that I wave through every day.
Oh, okay. Well, we have a community activist page. We have a community activist page, and a lot of our friends here in the community share that information, and so we're able to kind of go through it and see what's going on. But it's a way for us to see it written in black, but it's also a way for us to share it with others so that people are informed. And so one of the purpose of the community activist site is so that we can share information so that we can all be informed. And so through this broadcast, we'll be reading off events that are happening on the community activist site. Tomorrow we're talking about what's happening at NBUF, the National Black United Front, where we're celebrating Malcolm, and Ron is going to be our guest speaker. But there are a whole lot of other activities that are presented on the community activist site. And so we're in the process of broadcasting, but the information that you shared today is even new to me. But, I would like to get it in written form, and then that would kind of help me to put it on paper. Because one of the other things that we're doing is we're putting together a community calendar so that we can see it on the calendar as far as the events, so that we can try to be involved, or at least be able to share this information with other community activists, because we know that our presence and our participation is important in order to make this thing happen. Just like what Ms. E got going on next week, as far as this mentoring, this meeting at the Briefer Library next Saturday at 11:30, wanting us to come out because this is a My Brother's Keeper event. And so this is the way that we are informed.
Let's nail that calendar now, the activists we got online. June is coming up, right? Let's set up the procedure where people can start giving us their activities for June. What way should we enter? Say, like your organization has something coming up in June. How do we get it on a calendar that we can share? And how can we let all the activists know? If you want to put your event on our June calendar, give us the instruction. What's the instruction? Adeniki, what's the instructions that we would tell folks for the June calendar, and we can start getting those entries now?
Well,
Adeniki?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. What I could recommend is that, we have the Community Activist Facebook page. Most of those are connected to people's emails. So I could actually receive emails through my Facebook, but the Community Activist page or the administrators of the Community Activist page can receive information through their messaging, the message section, or they can email one particular email. And then
what email address? What email address should they send it to? What email?
Well,
I'm waiting to write. I'm ready. I want to write it down right now. Where do I send my activity at? What do you
let me jump in here and this is Dr. Mosley from MY, community activist. I wanted to jump in and say that each Facebook account has the person's name at facebook.com. So I just went on to Lamar Vickers' Facebook page. I looked at what he was doing for that event, and Lamar, if you had posted that on your page, I could have just shared it right to the community activist page.
Yeah, I don't know how to. I don't know how to do that. I got this young sister that's been coming to my meetings. They're gonna start doing that. Because I don't know, man. I don't even.
Yeah,
I
Sister
be trying to
Nakia,
send out each stuff. It don't work.
If you let Sister Nakia just tell her the event, she'll post it, and then she can share it right to the community activist page, and that's simpler than actually us going back to the snail mail route.
Yeah. That's what it's gonna be, through Nakia. Yeah, that's right.
All right. We need to work out our ability to use this technology, and probably we have to help each other, because I'm a little lame brain too when you got to go through passwords and pages, but I think together. No, I mean I got old, man. Matter of fact, switch your phone up on me and I don't know what to do. You know,
or you can call somebody like me, and I'll write the information down, and then I'll share it on the community activist page. And
what's your number?
Me and that.
What's your number? You with the big mouth. What's your number, bro? Give it up.
I'm gonna tell you.
I give it up.
It's 816-785-7692.
Wait a minute. 785.
785-7692.
Okay, bet I'll call you after this is over.
And that's Brother Donald Ousley, and he'll be our navigator, so we can begin to fill our June calendar up, so that we can know different events that's going to go on in June. And then the other thing is we need to know how to share cross-organization, different things that we can do and find ways to work better with each other. Some organizations do one thing better than they do another thing, and then some organizations need a lot of help because they're weak in the area. What we need to, and probably we could meet at the Kelly Center and have some face-to-face meetings on how to iron out our little weak spots as far as being able to put up, just like tomorrow we're going to try and do a live thing from the Buck meeting and share it with people. That's going to be phenomenal. We need to learn how to begin to put those things out there and live from the street. What's going on out there as the summer gets real hot. So a lot of times if we have good information and we know what different activists are doing, we will be stronger because we're always better when we're together. And that's the problem we're really having right now. Power to the people. People don't understand that anymore.
In our community, one of the things that we have a problem with is getting together, and we're going to use all this technology to do it. But we have to really have the will to just come together, set aside our differences for the better for our children, like Brother Keith said. Ms. Adenike, do we have anyone else on the line?
No, at this point, these are the only people that I see. Brother Lamar, Brother Ron McMillan, Saste, Brother Keith Brown, who I am honored to have listening in. Again, I want to welcome anyone who has an interest, if they are listening online, and they're because that is a feasible possibility. Call the number 347-989-8509 directly. I will see your number, and then you press 1. And after you hear us speaking, it will give me a question mark or a flag to let me know that you want to speak, and I can put you were hoping and had tried to invite several community leaders who were out today doing things. I know they're right in the battlefield. Brother Maurice Copeland was one person that I had wished I could get on location while he is in the midst. And that's, of course, the beauty of this. We can just load this up on the air. We can be on a site location right in the middle of a prayer vigil or any other opportunity of writing our own history, telling our own story, and post up exactly what's going on, interview and talk with individuals. And that is archivable, and others can listen to it at a later time, that content, and put it on a web. And so that is where...
With Maurice Copeland, that event, what's the actual, Don, didn't you have the actual date? Because we had some confusion on that.
The actual
date, sir?
is going to be this Monday on Bannister. This Monday at the Bannister Complex.
Let me jump in on this because I'll be participating Monday. This weekend's event, it's Monday at 3 p.m. out on Bannister and Lydia. That's right out by Bannister and Truce. So that is the main event. We want people to come out, and we're going to go from there to the new plant. But this weekend's activities is actually called the Trifecta. And today, this morning, tomorrow, and on Monday, not only are we dealing with the nuclear weapons issue where we make 85% of the nuclear bomb parts right here in Kansas City, we're also going to be going out to Whiteman Air Force Base and dealing with the issue with the drones, and we'll also be going to Leavenworth prison to talk about some of those that have come forward, some of the whistleblowers that have come forward and given information out that has told about some of the atrocities that is going on, not only here in America against our own citizens, but against people in other nations. So this trifecta is actually 3 days of events leading up to the actual third annual march from 95th and Lydia up to 150th and Box Road. This Memorial Day event, in the past, the nuclear weapons, the Cold War was the big issue. Right now, getting those veterans the funds that they need will be determined on June the 10th by an advisory committee to President Obama that Maurice Copeland will be serving on. The next piece is the present-day war of the drones. I think we have an 8,000 drone Air Force out there. And the third piece is the imprisonment of people, the military complex, and the mass imprisonment of anyone that stands up against the government, anybody that goes out of the mainstream corporate mechanism of making funds due to lack of education, due to lack of opportunity with employment. They end up in that system, or simply out of whatever reason. I think Ron may know a little bit more about it, but we have about 2 million Americans in prison.
2 million. And it's a shame that America has locked up so many people when we are not that much of the world's population, but our prisons, and especially with African Americans, well, it was designed from day one to reincarcerate us, and it has done a well job. But now, with the industrial complex making so much money off of us, we really need to give that some attention. So this network here, and realize I'm sitting here looking at a flyer that I got about bringing our girls back in Nigeria. They had a rally today at 39th Street in Truce at the St. James Catholic Church. You know where that is, 39th and Truce? Across from Milasau, the Catacomb, there's a church there. We don't hear too much from it, but today they had a rally at 11 a.m. To bring back our girls. They're supposed to have worn red about the thing that's going on in Nigeria and the kidnap of all those girls. So, yes, that community calendar is very important so that we can be supportive and connected to a lot of the things that are going on. So I'm real happy to connect with us. And if we learn how to make our voices vital, we will have a great, different result if we learn to respect and trust each other. Brother Don and a lot of us, we've been out here. We've had problems with people, but now it's so critical that we're going to have to get over some of the problems that we've had in the past with people. And how do you make a truce with community activists? I used to try to do it through the Community Activist Appreciation Day. And we did it, down for about 2 or 3 years, down at the Green Duck. I took my little food stamp card and bought a turkey, and we had a whole lot of food and stuff, and we invite all the activists out. And we want to honor our activists that wants to do the right thing in this day and age. And when people do good, when people stand up for what's right, we need to recognize them and give them some appreciation so that we build that type of protective spirit in our community where we begin to get each other's backs. We know we can talk about each other. We know we done some bad things. I've always tried to be decent with everybody, but somebody hate Ron McMillan, you can believe it. for some reason or another, right? There's always, just like that message you sent me, Don, on the phone, on the internet, that was a negative. Well, you sent me a lot more positive messages. And over the years, we have to look at, and we had that conversation too, people are not perfect, but the mission and the fight we have is real. So people fall off and don't live up to what we want sometimes. But how do we pull a brother back up and say, all right, brother, you might have ran off with this or did that wrong, but we need you right now on the battlefield because while you was doing that, you showed us some other skills that you have. And we need those skills, even though you showed us a skill we don't need.
And regardless to what somebody might think about Don Ousley and Ron McMillan, our relationship, and we are close and have been close for years, sometimes we're not so close, and sometimes, we have our own issues, but however, we do think about our children, we think about our community, and, we, on a personal level, learn to set aside our differences and come together because we know we can make it to the future better together than we can apart. My line out of the Matrix that I love is my interest in all of this is making it to the future, and we can and the only way we can do that is together, because in our community we know we have so much against us. We got outside and unfortunately we got inside, but we know that we got the talent. God has blessed us. We have the desire and the will, and we got to think about our children. And we can't. We got to do more than just think about them. We have to begin to implement this togetherness campaign in order to make that happen. And so now this is summer, kids out of school, and now it's time for us to activate a campaign that will, regard safety, it will regard our children's welfare, but also we want to elevate community activists. And because community activists play a very important part in our community. Why? Because a lot of times we advocate for the least of these. And so that's what we want to be about, the business of doing. And Ron says real soon we're going to do a community activist appreciation.
Right. Because if we don't pull the spirit,
if I could jump in on that, man, listen, this is just sweet music to my ears. Because listen, right now, what we're working on is forming the United Organizations Coalition, and that's so that we can all come together and do as Rosa say, everybody stay in their lane. Because if we all come together and we all stay in our lane and make our lanes known, and we all support each other's lanes, then we can make this work. And right now, what we're forming is we have a political, spiritual, workforce development, education, violence and crime, all these different committees. What is this for? It's so that we can reach out to the other committees that's out there and start bringing them all together, see? But we got to set up the core and the foundation for it all so that we can then reach out to the others and bring them in and everybody work in concert with each other. Just like when we was at the YMCA. We had the Black Leader Program, ACORN, we had Project Alert, we had the Rising Sons and Daughters. It was all the same people. Just on one day I signed in sheets, the next day they signed in yours. You see? And that's how we were able to make the YMCA profit by the fact that they had all these different numbers that they could present when in essence those numbers were the same people that were signing the same sheets. Now, I said that to say this, that prove and show it's enough out here for all of us if we just stop, come together, forget what we mad about, and just move forward for the sake of this community and the kids. And to hear y'all saying this on the phone now, it's funny that all the time we've been sitting there and this haven't germinated. They've been going down to City Hall. All of this stuff is germinating right now. So if we as the activists and the ones that's truly out there that want to really make a difference come together, we can't be stopped, especially with everybody that's on this line right now.
I would like to propose that we do our community activist appreciation program over there at the Kelly Building, and let's try to do it. Let's try to do it around July, and all of and what we want to do is recognize different activists. Matter of fact, maybe we could submit different activist names during June, and maybe we could come up with an Activist of the Year award, and all of us would support a program around that particular program this year, and maybe we could give a few dollars to the Activist of the Year award, pass the plate or something. But the whole real idea is to give some reward for those people who have worked hard and some recognition and to show them some love. And that's what the other thing, with trust and love is what we need to start promoting so that we can work together. And we have a long history as African Americans of fighting each other. But if we are going to create peace, and one of the reasons why I was so elated when the Black United Front said they were going to have a party, a celebration. But we did a thing out in the park on his birthday, the 19th, and I got the same old, 8, 9 people that come out, because we've been doing this for a couple of years, people who love Malcolm. And we were standing out there. It was a warm day, but the wind was blowing, and we were standing there. But we were there because we love a man called El-Haj Malik Shabazz, who became an icon in our time. But now, on the Sunday program, I want to go through why he became an icon and the sacrifice that he made and how he woke our consciousness up. Because you got to remember, from his type of challenge and thinking, evolved the Black Panther Party, the national movement, the All People's African movement with other brothers in Africa and around the world. He ignited that kind of thinking. If you remember, before Malcolm, our leadership was mostly preachers, and preachers who had their hat in their hand. Glad that the white man let them be preachers. They weren't challenging that man. But with the teachings of Elijah Muhammad, they had Brother Malcolm up in the white folks' face telling that white man he was the devil.
McMillan?
Yes.
I just want, sorry to cut you off, but at this point we are at the end of our show. I want to thank you for...
Can it be the end? The end. Hey, don't say end. Don't say end. Don't say never say end. To a old man, you don't say end.
Thank you all for listening into Amen Communications Network. The Kansas City Community Activist page has gone live, and now we have our radio show. Thank you all again for listening, and I want you to feel free to tune in tomorrow. At this time, I'm going to try to see what we can do to stretch this out a little bit longer than the hour slot that we had today, so that we can enjoy whatever information and sharing that we may be able to have. We will be on location at the Kansas City Black United Front, the National Black United Front Forum location. That's 7714 Prospect Avenue. Bring any refreshments. We have like a potluck contribution, and we welcome you as community activists. We welcome our community to participate in the celebration of Malcolm X. Also prepare for another venue this Monday so that we'll have a full Memorial Day weekend to celebrate and share information. Again, my name is Nuta Beqsu and Sate Mater Mosley from the Amen Communications signing out.
What happened to hip-hop? It got caught in the crossfire of a drive-by and died. Translated, open your heart and spit it with your third eye. What happened to hip-hop? Brother, sister, daughter, son got infatuated with the power of a gun. Too afraid to knuckle up and go toe-to-toe. Yeah, now it's who's quicker with the fofo. No more beat street unless you get beat in the street. No sprees, bling, 100 stacks means you was beat by the streets. No more love, peace, and laceless sneaks. Every other bar hollow points blowing off your piece. Or maybe I'm just deaf. Most industry cats think they fresh. Studio gangsters, 15-minute tasters, getting 10% of their paper. Everything rented, no personal possession, no gold, no platinum equals back in your mama's basement. So what happened to hip-hop? Battles on the corner for lyrical supremacy. When with the mic and steel wheels, we turned out the party. When the block stood, one for all for one. In the middle of the block, ciphering till the moon gave way to the sun. So what happened to hip-hop? Money happened to hip-hop. Happened to hip-hop. Greed happened to hip-hop. Ignorance happened to hip-hop. So what happened to hip-hop? It became a reflection of the pains we live, the false definitions of culture. So what happened to hip-hop? Sex and violence became #1 sellers. Hella, heaven can't straddle the fence. So what happened to hip-hop? I don't know. Ask the CEOs at major labels. Ask the leaders who tried to ban it. Ask the lyricists that got dropped when they tried to preach it. Because I'm just a poet, trying to right my wrongs through poetic songs, trying to touch that lost soul through spoken word on a beat that make your hips hop and your head nod. So what happened to hip hop? It got incorporated by the nemesis of God.
What happened to hip hop? Did it die? Did it fall off on the wayside? Did it lose sight of what kept us strong? What helped us to hold on?
Hip hop is dead. Cousin, we bang, bro. No more shell toes, no more cane coats. We holler black top, slang yo, and train hoes. We in the game, no, that's what we living like. We holler move, work, do dirt, and get your stripes. Seduce a loose skirt and limp workers, get your ice. The only beatboxing is on another head. Gutter critters, get the bread. Strut, dip and shift and shares. For the love of a Babylon buck, I'm a sav and I get my travel line with a duck. 1,000 pills in a tuck. And homie rap about it, and they hate me cause I talk on crack houses when they crowded. But love when the mallet slamming blacks doing life beats out here pushing white, taking flights on some tripe. Searching for the right kick, hurting for the right plug. If we ain't got tight fits, it's certain that we gon' thug.
What happened to hip-hop? Did it die? Did it fall off on the wayside? Did we lose sight of what kept us strong? What helped us to hold on? What happened to hip-hop? Did it die? Did it fall off on the wayside? Did we lose sight of what kept us strong? What helped us to hold on?
What happened to hip-hop? When being real beatbox, scratched, popped and locked and dropped bodies, shot by Def Jam and silenced death. What happened to killing false headlines with rhyme? Battling boundary by Crime Stoppers, leaving outlines around innocent minds. What happened to hip-hop? Lyrics got rich quick, and promiscuous hips pulled tricks like a stripper for a tip. Message, hopping hips, listen, quit snitching on the message. In a mess of ages, expression over Smith & Wesson. Oil slick, former 3/5, now shopping CDs for identity. Cause at the end of the month, ends don't meet, which means no meat for the family. So dirty dealers cut words, package hurt and cuss words, keeping the real ghetto the new hero. Stars struck like lightning, living hard behind bars. Prophets, prophecy, blood stains like tar. In the grass and glass playground, fiends green as grass. Black males dressed in all black, wearing black gloves. Don't want to touch February with a black fist. Green with envy for the green behind the 8 ball. Black ball, knowledge of self and crash wealth on Black Monday. When the stock market, Marcus Black bleeding on the black top. Shot by a black man, shot by a black cop. In the project, it's Black Ops / hip hop.